Welcome. I'm Elinor Silverstein, and today I'm here with Rachel Lamb and Susan Johnson from the IATP organization that stands for International Affiliation for Tongue-Tie Professionals. We just came off the end of a 4-day weekend work conference about the most incredible speakers and professionals speaking about tongue-tie and how that is involved in for babies and children and adults. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization and how this is helpful in ways for us for our own health?
Well, IATP is a multidisciplinary organization of healthcare professionals, as you mentioned, of international board certified lactation consultants, doctors, dentists, speech language pathologists, body workers, manual therapists.
A lot of people.
Yeah, and loads of people. I'm sorry if I've missed anybody out.
A number of different professionals that help all of us over a lifespan to feed and to breathe.
Wow. And those are the two most essential things in life.
Yeah, that was the name of that was the title for the conference.
Yeah. Right. And can you describe a little bit about what tongue tie is, what it means, and how it affects babies and people's health, so that people can understand why this organization is so important to know, to be part of?
Okay. Well, a tongue tie is when the tissue underneath the tongue is too short. It doesn't let the tongue move around in the way that it should naturally move.
And when the body is developing in utero, the tongue is down really at the floor of the mouth. And as the body begins to open up, this tissue underneath will dissolve to the point that that child will have enough mobility to be able to breathe and to be able to feed and to develop language and to come into the world. And sometimes the tissue does not dissolve enough to allow good mobility right from the start. And what we want to do, and the reason that you'll see a lot of interest in infants, is we want to catch right away those very early signs that a baby is struggling to breathe. And often we'll see that when the baby does feed. If you have a choice between breathing or eating, you are going to choose to breathe.
Right. Wow. So then that includes babies with failure to thrive, babies that are having problems latching on. And it's quite a large list, right? And yes. Also babies that are pushing away from mom, crying during breastfeeding, really noisy suckers, the babies that are getting acid reflux. Mm-hmm. That was a big part that you talked about.
They're communicating, and we're trying to learn what they're communicating, and we want to learn that as early as possible. And we don't want them to fight to communicate that with us. We want to catch those nuances the moment they appear. And so what we're doing is sharing together from all of our different perspectives, what is it that we're seeing, and what is it that we can do to help those mothers and fathers and those children get back on track.
Wow. Okay. And in case anybody thinks that this is just about babies, it's not, because this is about children and adults. And as one dentist I spoke with there said, I work everyone from newborns to 94 years old. So yes. Yep. So I want you to know that this is applicable to you to this day, that even if you go look in the mirror and you see how close that frenulum, that connective tissue, is to the tip of your tongue, and that, maybe you were the ice cream biter versus the ice cream licker, and all of that, it still affects us with our health, with acid reflux, even as adults, and sleep apnea for us, and the changing of the structure of our faces as we get older, and then other dental issues, and many.
It was interesting too to hear people talk about how that may restrict your oxygen intake. How does that affect the brain's ability to grow? How does that affect your ability to be relaxed in your own personality and the character you're trying to become? What happens to you in every stage of your life? How does that impact your interest in reading or your ability to speak and communicate with new people and meet friends? As simple as that.
Wow. How about children with their energy level, and how well they sleep or they're not sleeping, and how well they're doing in school?
Absolutely. I mean, somebody at the conference showed a picture of all the babies and children sitting there, and their tongues are hanging down. You think about all that muscle tone. There's nothing there. it's all so loose. There's no muscle forming any of that structure that's so important. So we end up with, you know, babies with long, Brian Palmer called it long face syndrome. You know, we have people growing with longer faces. Our faces are not naturally supposed to be like that. We're supposed to have nice, huge, big, wide structures, wider nasal passages, so that we can breathe correctly, so that everything's not all squashed up. And concertina, you know, that septurn in the nose is not going to be all pushed up because the palate's so high. So you can breathe correctly and breathe through your nose. That's your organic breathing as such. That's not eating well. Breathing
Right.
well.
For all the people that think that they're just a mouth breather because they can't breathe out of their nose, they actually showed that almost everybody can breathe out of their nose, but their brain has been so wired around breathing out of the mouth that everything changes structurally, right? The bony structure, and the brain wires itself around breathing out of the mouth. And even though you ask them, they can, but they don't know that they can, and it still feels restrictive. And these can be changed.
Yes, absolutely. When we think about the structure, the tongue needs to come up and rest naturally on the roof of the palate. So it needs to just rest there and not hang down underneath. If it hangs underneath, then the nose is not going to be open enough to allow that oxygen to come in, and the breathing just goes. When you do that, you end up with, you know, tonsillitis, you know, all these horrible lung infections, and, you know, and yeah,
Ear infections.
OTP, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
those. Wow. Well, your organization is incredible. The conference was eye-opening, and I would love people to look into this. Can you give the website? What is the website for IATP?
The website is www.tonguetieprofessionals.org. Go onto the website and have a wee look around, and you can become a member. We're very welcoming. We would like as many people as possible to come in and have a voice in IATP. It's very important.
We'd like to have a lot of voices in, and we hope that everyone will come in and lean in with us and lend their own voices and their own ideas. And we were doing that during the conference, and we'd love to continue those conversations online and in as many different formats as possible.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.